Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer.
I'm Steve Wilkes.
In the order that we're shooting today, this is our second honey beer.
Yeah.
Second out of three.
Second of three. And this was mine.
Yes! I'm excited because
Well,
I get to drink and you get to talk.
And now, so we've already had, of course this is going, we don't know the order of these yet.
Right.
But we've already done your honey IPA.
Yes.
This is my, I'm calling this Summer Braggot, which is also the name of a movie coming out soon with Connie Stevens and Jerry Lewis.
Summer Braggot was my favorite Charlie's Angel.
That's
I think.
right. She was lovely. Very sweet girl. At any rate, this is a 10% beer.
Oh, okay.
And
we just got off two 7.6% beers.
That's right. So this one's at 10%.
Ooh.
And it has a long and tortured path, as many of my beers do. It is a Braggot. It was supposed to have been a light honey pilsner.
Mm.
So let me just tell you what's in it.
Okay.
All right. I can't even read this thing. It has 3 pounds of pilsner. It's a 2.5 gallon batch.
Oh, okay.
It has 3 pounds of pilsner malt. It has 4.5 pounds of honey, and it has it has a charge of Hallertauer Mittelfrüh, 1 ounce at 30 minutes, and then it has a hop stand of Mittelfrüh at 176 degrees, and then an ounce of dry hop. And here's where it gets weird. Have you tasted it yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't taste weird. It tastes
Well,
good. Oh, I'm
cheers.
sorry.
That's all right.
My faux pas. I couldn't wait.
Oh, that's very nice. Mm-hmm. So I made the beer with the 3 pounds of Pilsner malt and 3 pounds of honey. I pitched a packet of Huga, eventually, that was several months out of date.
Oh.
And so I thought, I think it'll be okay. I did the same, like Imperial always works. Mm-hmm. It didn't work this time. Or it might have worked in a few days. It was
right. Or with a starter, it probably would have been just
exactly.
fine.
And I didn't.
But after 4 months, you really gotta
look out. So at any rate, I pitched the Huga, and how many times have you got to say that in your life? And nothing happened. So I think I let it go for not quite 2 days. So like one day, and then at some point in the second day, I panicked, and I thought, what am I going to do? So I ended up pitching. Let me remember the order of this. I ended up pitching a packet of WBO6, which is Hefeweizen yeast.
Oh.
Because it's all I had. It's the only beer yeast I had on hand. And I pitched it, and it went nuts for about 1 day. Then nothing. And I knew there was no way that beer was finished. So I thought, well, that WBO6 just ate the easy stuff, and that's going to sit there. So then I was like, what am I going to do to save this beer? So then I went and got the other 2 pounds of honey from the 5 gallon thing of honey I had. I made a must, a very kind of a thick must. Didn't want to put a lot more volume into it, but I made a must of, say, a couple of quarts of water, 2 pounds of honey, just brought it just enough to liquefy it. I put that into the beer, pitched it. Then I pitched a packet of 71B wine yeast, and then it fermented. And then after about 5-6 days, it fermented and it dropped bright as a whistle. So it's kind of one of those brewing disaster stories.
Well, but you pulled it. You pulled it up at the last minute. You made it took it from a disaster into a delicious beer.
And it took it from kind of a light. I can't remember what it was supposed to have been, but somewhere around 5-ish%, somewhere in that area. I just kind of wanted like a nice, easy drinking honey beer. Was what I was after. I ended up with a 10% Braggot instead. But better than that than let the beer just sit there for a week where you wring your hands and let it just go bad or be so stressed from yeast.
And honey is not cheap.
Honey's not cheap. On the only other thing that happened from that I wanted to caution you about is if you should happen to have to do this at some point, something like this. I had the rest of my honey, but a fair amount of it, probably 6 to 8 ounces, just fell into the it didn't actually disperse into the work. And so when I pulled it into the rack it to bottle it up, there's a bunch of like unfermented honey in the. I use a conical fermenter that has a trap of a mason jar. Well, that mason jar was full of honey.
Wow.
About half, 3/4 up of just actual honey. Huh. So that must that I made must have. It was
musty. Was it musty?
It was musty. but so I don't actually know exactly how much honey fermented here.
Well, that surprises me. You think that the yeast would get down in there and just like
me too. I don't know. I don't understand it. I mean, I'm sure if I thought about it, or there's people out there way smarter than me. But that's what happened, and so. I put in 5 pounds of honey altogether in the beer, but I put into the brewing software 4.5 pounds because I just had to guess. But at any rate, what do you think?
It's good. I mean, it's very meaty. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I taste a whole lot of grain in there.
Yeah, it's way more about honey.
And it's super dry, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's not hot. It's a weird fermentation, but it didn't suffer from it.
I don't think it did. That's the interesting thing is I think that. Oh, and I also pitched when I put the 71B in. I also pitched some yeast energizer as well. Idea. And so I switched from thinking of it as a beer to thinking of it as a mead, and how I treated it and. Finished it out.
Yeah, the grain probably helped you get away with the first part of the fermentation, but then the more honey that you add, the more nutrient that you're going to need.
But I really like that, and I wanted to compare. So this is your honey IPA, and this is my summer Braggot, and
mine's a couple of shades darker.
Yeah, yours is a hazy and a little darker. Mine's looks like Chardonnay, basically.
They're cousins.
Tasty.
I think mine's more kind of lemony.
Yours is lemony. Yours has more mouthfeel. It's definitely, because it's got more grain.
We don't want
any. They're both very good, and they are cousins. You can tell they're kind of coming from the same place. Mine's much more wine-like or mead-like. Yours is much more of a beer.
Mm-hmm. And both of them are good. Mm-hmm. Both of them, if you drink too much too fast,
okay,
you'll have a happy day.
I'm going to have to sit down.
Well, I mean, through the trials and tribulations, you used your experience as a brewer to make it work, and that's sometimes what you got to do.
Yeah, and what I should have done with my experience as a brewer is I should have been a starter on that Hugo. Mm-hmm. And I was I just didn't anticipate it not working. I thought, because it had expired in December, and I brewed this 6-8 weeks ago.
Oh,
so.
Yeah,
it is getting pretty long, but it had been in the fridge for a long time, and I don't know. I just thought, it'll work. Then no, it didn't. And here's the thing, though: if you're a beginning brewer, or you're not used to it, I'm sure at some point it would have fermented. It would have, but the yeast would have been so stressed that it would have had all those fusel alcohols, those weird, very not good off flavors, and that's what I was trying to intercept. Mm-hmm. It's like I've got to keep a fermentation going here. Excuse me, and it worked.
Yeah.
So don't panic when you, if you're a willy-nilly brewer like I am. No, but when things go wrong, things don't always work exactly right for whatever reason, and just stop for a moment and think, what can I do? How can I bring this back? How can I? In my case, this is a completely different beverage than I initially thought.
So it's an accidental Braggot.
It's an accidental Braggot, yeah. Anyway.
Well, that's good.
It's good. That's what counts. One more.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, good luck trying this. Good luck duplicating this recipe.
Well, but the
it's
thing
good.
is, if you did it on purpose, you'd do the 3 or 4 pounds of malt and the 3 to 5 pounds of honey, and use appropriate and healthy yeast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'd have gotten to pretty much the same place. I don't know. Yeah. But you've got wine yeast and 2 beer yeast. Who knows what the heck's going on in there?
Sounds like a party.
Sounds like a party in my mouth, and everyone's welcome.
I'm leaving it alone. Cheers, everybody.
Come and visit us online at basicbrewing.com. You can find archive lists of our audio and video podcasts on homebrewing. You can also find our DVDs and our brewer's logbook, where you can track and log up to 50 batches of beer.
I was going to say something. This is a family show.
It's a family show. There's a Simpsons reference, nothing more.